Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rider Ramblings. It's a nice afternoon. How long it'll remain nicely remains to be seen. But it's a nice afternoon. Right, what have we got going on here? This looks interesting. It seems we've got a marmalade. As it stands. Interesting. Who was I looking down? The Missenden Flyer. Oh yes, I was watching the Missenden Flyer's review of his long-term review of the BMW he has, and he was saying, he was very surprised at the number of people who didn't wave at BMWs, and I made the comment that that's because most BMW riders don't wave back. I mean, I was just thinking about it and trying to work out how often people wave one way or the other, especially the BMW riders. It seems that there are two groups. This is just my observation. It's just my observations of doing about 200,000 kilometers, 190,000 kilometers in France. And there are mainly two groups of motorcycle riders who don't wave, and the first group, of course, are the Harley riders. They only seem to wave at other Harleys. If you're not on a Harley, then you might sometimes get a wave back from a Harley rider. I would say maybe one time in 20, probably. Which might seem not very good, but it's about one time. I would say about one time in 20, with my very unscientific poll system. And then you've got the BMW riders, and I would say that this is about one time in 100. Do we get a wave from a BMW rider? Yeah, they're about 4 times worse in my experience at waving than Harley riders, and Harley riders are not known to be good wavers. I mean, yes, scooter riders don't tend to wave at motorcycles, and motorcycles don't tend to wave at scooters. I tend to wave at nearly everybody. Yes, I must admit there are times when I don't wave at the smaller scooters because I know they're just not going to wave back. And I do sometimes get waves from scooter riders. What's this young lady doing with a skateboard? Trying to kill herself, I think. So yes, you do have the two types of motorcyclists in France, that don't wave, and I must admit there's been a few comments on my post about this, and some complimentary, some, or should not my post, it was my comment, wasn't it? Some not complimentary. As I say, this is just my experience in the last 10 years in France. The UK could be very, very different. I don't know. I haven't ridden a motorcycle in the UK for 12 years. About 12 years. They say buses are a good idea, but look at the mess that this one's created. It's quite a mess. We've got a good quality road here, unfortunately. I can't get past, monsieur. I'm just a little too wide. I have to wait a little bit. Yeah, and they say buses ease traffic. As you can see, this one's causing a bit of a traffic jam. Not to worry. Anyhow, getting back to waving, I'd say I am relatively good at waving. I wave at most motorcycles out of the city. Let's see if I can lose this bus. Because it's causing all sorts of havoc. Inside the city, it very much depends. Usually on a weekend, we wave at each other in and around sort of the Paris, Ile-de-France area. But during the week, because everybody's commuting and things like that, people just don't tend to wave. It's a bit like London. I remember when I went down to London for the first time, I was waving at everybody madly, because that's what I did when not in London. Of course, nobody waved in London. And it's a bit the same in Paris, as I say. Outside of the centre of Paris, outside of the middle ring road, the 86, the A86, at weekends people will wave, but during the week it's rare. It is. So, yes, comments below, please. You know, do you wave? Do you not wave? Who do you wave to? Should we wave? Because, I mean, you're taking your hands off the handlebars, and technically we're not really supposed to do that, are we? Technically. We do, but it is very chilly today. You'll have to excuse me, my fingers, I'm going to have to turn the grips up. The heated grips, I'm getting very soft in my old age. I am. So turn the heated grips up. Something's been leaking something all over the road. I don't know quite what it's been leaking, but it's been leaking something all over the road. And it looks like we've had somebody leaking oil and water on the left-hand side. The weather forecast is relatively good. As I say, it's sort of cloudy-ish. Sunny spells, I think, would be the best. The best comment for the weather forecast for today, and we're supposed to get snow tomorrow. We're supposed to get snow, but hasn't arrived. Well, hopefully it won't arrive, but we will see. Let's wait for the buses. We can go when we're allowed to go, which will be about now. So, yeah, why are people in cities so impatient? I must admit the French traffic light system is appalling, but it could be done so much better. But I mean, I've noticed this: people in cities are generally not very patient. I sometimes watch the Royal Jordanian on YouTube, and he does most of his riding in and around central London. I recognise a lot of the places. Seems that nobody is respecting the traffic lights today. You better keep an eye out for this if people are not respecting the traffic lights. It could be a bit dodgy. Yes, I watch the Royal Jordanian occasionally on his exploits around London, mainly because I see some of my old haunts and the areas that I used to ride in and things like that, and see how they've changed since I was there many, many years ago, and they have changed quite considerably. So, yeah. And yes, you see quite a lot of impatient driving there as well on his site. He's very good. I do like him. I must admit, he's because he's got this Husqvarna with the loud exhaust, he tends to ensure people can hear him, and he's very good at the zebra crossings and so on, letting people through, I must admit. Not like they are in France. They're bloody awful in France. I have to leave the vent open because the temperature is 5 degrees, and the visor will just steam up, unfortunately. I'll try closing it and see how we do at these higher speeds, because I've got the windscreen right the way down, but if it does steam up too much, I'll have to open it. But yeah, so why are people in cities so impatient? That's what I want to know. What is it that makes them lose their patience? I know there are traffic jams and things like this, but surely you leave sufficient time, or you should leave sufficient time to get to where you're going in case there is a problem. I mean, I've left myself an extra about 15 minutes today to get where I'm going. I'm on a motorcycle, so I'll probably arrive 20 minutes early because I'm on the motorcycle. But, you know, why don't you leave yourself a little bit of a buffer? People don't seem to do this, I don't know why. We'll have to see. Actually, going south out of Paris on a Friday afternoon is probably not the most sensible idea that I've ever had. But that's what I'm doing. Sorry, I've had to open the vent. I am steaming up a bit. Yes, going south out of Paris is probably not the most sensible idea on a Friday, but never mind. It's relatively warm. My girlfriend bought me some shirts just before Christmas, extra Christmas present, you could say, in the market. surprisingly enough. They're now... Most French markets, I think if you look back at what I was saying about markets on a video before, I'll try and link to it up in the top left somewhere, if I can find it. It does say markets on the title. Are usually food, but they do have some clothing and furniture and things like that, and starting like they are in the UK. And they're surprisingly warm. I don't know what they're made of. They're sort of they're a bit furry. They look as if they could be uncomfortable, but they're not. They're not uncomfortable at all, and they're surprisingly warm. Again, I'll put a link in the notes below if I find out who manufactures them or whatever. We have a bouchon, a traffic jam, so somebody's obviously binned it further up. Right, anyhow, I'll leave the camera running. I'll say thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you next time. Paying attention.